Hello guys, I'm back here for another video, and I'm gonna actually talk about my my Marvel Cinematic Universe ranking. Um, this wasn't a video that I had planned. It was a suggestion from a fellow YouTuber. Here's his channel, The Dark Knight. He's got some cool reviews and collection videos on there. You should go check him out. But he suggested that I should do a least to greatest ranking video. But I'm going to tweak it a little bit. I decided to do, instead, a list that's most rewatchable for me because I don't actually dislike any of the movies. There's some that I don't really like to rewatch all that often, so I thought it would be a better way for me to express my ranking because I don't really dislike any of the movies, so I thought this was a better way to do it. I was working on a list all last night and today, trying to break down all 20 movies. This doesn't include Captain Marvel, but the top 5, from 5 to 1, those are in a solid place. Those are my top 5, but everything after that could change. Of course, all of them could change depending on when Endgame comes out and if I see Captain Marvel. But for right now, the top 5 are my favorite. But everything before that could be changed out depending on how I feel at the time. Because this isn't, like I said, it's a rewatchability list. So, our first movie up is Thor: The Dark World. Now, this movie is actually the first movie that I got on Blu-ray. I hadn't watched it, and I bought it on Blu-ray. And I did like it. I don't know if I like it as much now. I don't know. I haven't watched it in a while. I usually watch my movies in a marathon. I watch the Marvel movies in a marathon. And I haven't done that for probably about a year, probably February of last year, March of last year, so around that time. I've watched Avengers Endgame since then. I've watched Black Panther a few times, and Ant-Man and the Wasp. But a whole marathon, I haven't watched this in quite a while. But I do like it. It's got a lackluster villain, and and it's a little bit boring at times. But I like the scope of the movie, and I like the supporting characters, and Idris Elba, Tom Hiddleston, Anthony Hopkins. Natalie Portman does an okay job in this movie. It's just not my favorite. Now next one's probably going to get a lot of hate. But like I said, I don't dislike any of these movies. Now the next one up here is Black Panther. I really like this movie. My particularly favorite part of it was probably Ulysses Claw. I like Michael B. Jordan's character. He's one of my favorite actors. I love him in Creed, and Chadwick Boseman does a great job as Black Panther. But the reason it's a little bit lower on the list is because I don't find it all that rewatchable. And I don't really have a strong connection to the character of Black Panther, so that's why it's a little bit lower on the list. Next up, we've got Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is actually the second movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I bought. I love Don Cheadle's portrayal of James Rhodes. I love Whiplash in the movie. This kind of holds another one that holds a special place in my heart because I actually got this the last year of my grandfather's Christmas party. The last year that I went, and I got a Spider-Man 3 laptop and like a game laptop in this movie, and I really liked it. I've liked it ever since. Next up is Thor. Now, see, I really do like this movie, and it kind of hurts me to put it down this low. I might even like it more than Thor Ragnarok. But when I do my Marvel movies, watch a marathon of them, this is kind of the one that I don't really want to watch. But then when I start watching it, I really start to enjoy it again. I don't know what it is, so that kind of messes with my mindset of watching it. That's why I put it a little bit lower. Because sometimes I don't want to watch it, but then once I start watching it, I like it. So it's kind of a weird thing. Next up, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 has a lot of good supporting roles. Yondu does a really good job. Of course, the main Guardians do a great job too. Drax is funny in the movie. Russell Crowe's character is a little bit... I don't really like him all that much. Yondu, the part where, spoiler alert, the part where Yondu dies brings tears every time. I do really like this movie. I loved it when it first came out, but I don't think it's better than the first Guardians. We got Avengers: Age of Ultron. It's pretty good. I don't think it's better than the first one, and it doesn't touch the third one at all. But I like Ultron in here. I think he could have been a little bit. I think they could have done a better job with him. But I like the idea of him kind of taking some of Tony's personality traits. It doesn't really make any sense, but I think it's cool. It's a cool idea. I love all the suits in this movie. I love the music. It's nice to see Nick Fury, of course. And I love what they did with Hawkeye. This, again, is another one along with Thor that I really didn't want to put this low on the list. I love Haley Atwell's portrayal of Agent Carter. I love Hugo Weaving's portrayal of Red Skull, Tommy Lee Jones, the Howling Commandos, of course, Captain America himself. Sebastian Stan does a really good job. I love all the bits and pieces that makes this movie. I find it I find it a very good Captain America origin story, and I think it's severely underrated. Next up, we've got Iron Man 3. This movie, I really enjoyed it when it came out. I love the Christmas kind of theme to it. I love the Mark 42 suit, and I think it's the whole the house party protocol, whatever it's called, is a really cool idea. And I do really like the ending to this. I think it's a really good send-off for Iron Man, because at this time, Robert Downey Jr.'s contract was up. They didn't know if he was going to return. I believe that's correct. That's why they ended the story in this particular way, and I really do like this movie. If this was Iron Man's if this was his last film, I think it would have been a great send-off for his character, because that's kind of how it's set up. The Mandarin twist doesn't really bother me, because I've never been a big Iron Man fan outside of the movies. I never really read any of the comic books. I usually stick to things like Spider-Man, Daredevil, Batman, Justice League, Avengers. I like that kind of stuff. Flash. I do like a lot of Marvel characters, but my point is I haven't read a lot of Iron Man's comic books, so I don't really know the character of Mandarin. Ant-Man and the Wasp. This one's a little bit unfair. It probably shouldn't be this high, because I've only watched it once so far, so it could change, definitely. But I really like the story. I think it was very funny. I love all the supporting roles. I think the Ghost, is that what her name is? I like the villain. She's okay. She's not as good, in my opinion, as Yellow Jacket. But she's somewhat compelling, I guess. I don't know. She's really not that great, but I love Angelina Lilly's portrayal of the Wasp. Of course, Paul Rudd's Ant-Man, Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer. I'll do a great job. Next up is Avengers. I don't know what I could say about this movie that hasn't already been said. I love the Hulk in this movie. I do prefer Edward Norton's Hulk, but Mark Ruffalo's portrayal of the Hulk, or his performance as Bruce Banner, is my favorite in this movie. I think he did the best job in this than he's done in any of the other ones. I think he feels a lot like Bruce Banner. When you see him first enter the helicopter, the helicarrier, and he sees those two guards, and when he walks in, he immediately tries to hide. I really like that. Keeping it in the continuity. He hides when he's walking with the little girl. I just find his character very interesting. My least favorite character in this is probably Captain America. I think they kind of made him a little bit dumb. Like in the scene where they're trying to save the helicarrier, and he says, "It seems to run on some form of electricity." I think that Captain America would have been smarter enough to say that, because obviously it runs on electricity. I think that was a little bit of a jab at Captain America, and I didn't really like it. And it didn't bother me before, but now that I've a pretty good attachment to Hawkeye. I love archery. Hawkeye's a pretty cool character in my opinion, and the more that I've started liking him over the years, the more that this kind of the brainwashing in this kind of bothers me. It didn't bother me when it first came out, because I didn't really care for Hawkeye all that much, but I do like his character a lot more, and it does kind of bother me now. So that kind of, in retrospective, that kind of burns me. Next up, we got Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok, like I said, I think I like the first Thor more, but as of rewatchability, I don't mind rewatching this movie. I love Hulk in the movie. I think it's very funny. I love all the supporting roles. I can't really remember the girl's name right now. I think it's Valkyrie. I love Hela in the movie. The Grandmaster, Tom Hiddleston does a great job again. And I like the costume that they give Thor at the very beginning of the movie. I do like that. Next up, we've got Doctor Strange. I didn't actually get to watch this movie until like a year after it came out. I watched it on Netflix around the summer of when Spider-Man Homecoming came out, and I loved it. I really, really, really liked it. I like Benedict Cumberbatch's portrayal. I think he does a great job. I love Rachel McAdams. She's one of my favorite female actresses. The Ancient One does a really good job. I don't know what her name is. The titles are at the top of the picture here, but I don't know which one's her. But I really do like this movie. The villain's a little bit, it's a little bit lackluster. Next up, we've got Ant-Man. Now, this movie I actually got to watch. I remember the day I first watched this, I actually came home and I had a pretty severe headache, close to a migraine, and this actually put me in a pretty good mood. I liked it a lot. It really surprised me. But I think they did a really good job. I really like his suit. I think his suits are definitely better than the newer ones, and I love, again, Angelina Lilly's portrayal of crap, I can't remember her name. Let's just call her Pre-Wasp. Michael Douglas, I love the villain in this Yellow Jacket. I think they did a really good job crafting that character from scratch. As far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure he is from scratch, because the character outside of Yellow Jacket might be real. I'm not sure. I don't think he is, but Yellow Jacket was actually Hank Pym in the comic books. But anyway, I just put my foot in my mouth. But next up we've got is number 7, I believe, Spider-Man Homecoming. Now this movie, for me, it doesn't touch Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2. I grew up with those movies. Those movies are the reason why I love Spider-Man. Now, as I've gotten older, I have read a lot of Spider-Man comic books, and yeah, Tobey Maguire or even Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man are not super comic book accurate, but it doesn't really bother me that much, because Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is my Spider-Man. I didn't read any comic books before I saw Spider-Man, so Tobey Maguire is my Spider-Man. And for me, I didn't really think this was as good. I love Tom Holland in Civil War. I think he did a great job, but this one, it was a little bit... I was really excited when I came out of the theater, but as I got time to start thinking about it, I didn't really like it all that much that I thought I did. I think the suit didn't really bother me all that much. I thought it would have been really cool if at the end of the movie, when he sees that paper bag, or he didn't even give him the paper bag. I think it would have been cool if he would have just made a straight-on, full-on comic book accurate costume without all the gear and stuff like that, because of the way it kind of sets it up with that way that a movie ends, and then he gets to get the same suit back. It kind of bothers me. But anyway, next up we've got The Incredible Hulk. Now this movie I was actually not going to put in the ranking or the rewatchability list, as I would like to call it, because The Incredible Hulk, if you see my MCU collection, I have 4 versions of this movie. I'm in love with this movie. I love Edward Norton. He's my favorite actor. I love this story. The only thing I don't really like about it is the CGI for Abomination. I think Hulk looks pretty good throughout the whole movie, and the inconsistencies with Hulk's character through Avengers really bothers me, because at the end of this movie, he knows how to control the Hulk. If you watch the end of the movie when his eyes turn green, he turns into the Hulk at will. And then in Avengers, they made it so he can't control him again. So that kind of bothers me. That's why Avengers is lower on this list, because I really like the Hulk, and I think this is a really good story. But I know it's not a really good movie, so that's why I put it as far back as 5 or 6. It doesn't hit the top 5 for me. But that's pretty much all I can say about that. I love the movie. Next up, we got Captain America Civil War. I love Black Panther and Spider-Man in this movie. I just don't really like their solo outings in the MCU as much as I did like their first appearance here. I think the Russo brothers did a great job with all the supporting roles in this character. Bringing in General Ross again was really cool. I love all the suits, the set pieces. I love Zemo. I think he's a really cool character. Really, there's only one scene in this movie that really bothers me. That's the scene where the guy's sitting upside down in the sink, and you can clearly see that his nose and mouth are above the rim of the sink, but then somehow he drowns. I hate that scene every time I watch this movie. That's the only thing I can think about when I see that, is how stupid it is, and I want to throw the TV out the window. Next up, we've got Iron Man. This was the first movie outside of Spider-Man and Batman, or the first superhero outside of Spider-Man and Batman that I really got attached to. It was because of this movie. Of course, it's the start of the MCU. Robert Downey Jr. does a fantastic job. I love Terrence Howard's portrayal of James Rhodes. I think I like Don Cheadle's more, but I really like Terrence Howard. He's a good actor. I like Gwyneth Paltrow in this movie. I love all the Iron Man suits that we get to see. I think they're very creative. My favorite Iron Man suit is actually the Mark III. And of course, can't forget about Jeff Bridges. Does a great job as Obadiah Stane, in my opinion. A lot of people say that when he turns into a villain, it's kind of like immediate. I don't really see that. When I watch it, I kind of think he kind of acts like a villain through the whole time. I don't know if that's just because I know he's going to be the villain. It's kind of hard for me to place my opinion on it. But to me, it looks like he's the villain throughout the movie the whole time. And I think they kind of make that obvious. Of course, all the action is really good in this movie. Next up, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, this movie, I didn't actually see any trailers for it when it first came out. I seen a trailer because my uncle showed me a trailer. And I really liked the scene where he flips the camera off. I thought that was pretty cool, even though that wasn't in the movie. But I wasn't all that excited for the movie. I thought the trailer was really cool, but I didn't really know these characters. And at the time, 5 years ago, I didn't really have there's no comic book stores around here, and I didn't really have the attention span to go ahead and learn about them on the internet. But when the movie did come out, my mother actually bought it for me, and we watched it together, and I loved it. I loved Drax. Gamora does a great job. The girl that plays Gamora does a great job. Zoe Zeldana. I'm sorry, I butchered that name. Chris Pratt. Of course, Vin Diesel is Groot. Rocket Raccoon, played by Bradley Cooper. All do a great job. All supporting roles are really good, too. Next up, we've got Avengers Infinity War. What can I say about this movie? It can't be touched. It's not my number one, but it can't be touched by any other MCU movie. It's just the way that the emotions that you get through this movie. The goosebump, it's amazing how many different emotions, how happiness, sadness, that you can, angerness for Thanos winning, or peacefulness. I've experienced both, because you really feel for all the characters in this movie, and it's crazy. It's the most emotional movie in all of the MCU, and that's why I say it can't be touched. It's really rewatchable. I love the story. Of course, Spider-Man does a great job. Tom Holland is Spider-Man, all the supporting roles, and of course the main Avengers themselves, and Josh Brolin's Thanos really takes the cake on this. I think he does a fantastic job as Thanos, and I think it's been a really good payoff after the build-up since Guardians of the Galaxy when he first appeared as Thanos. Next up, of course, we got Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I can't say anything about this movie that hasn't been said already. It's just my favorite. I love the music. That's the one thing about me, that I love music in movies. That's another reason why I really love The Incredible Hulk. I love the Hulk's theme in that, but music, and the Russos do such a great job of making Captain America feel fierce. His fighting style, the way he moves is just so crazy. They've utilized him in such an amazing way. And then, of course, a lot of people say it's kind of an espionage film. I don't really have this. I haven't seen a lot of those because I can't really put my opinion on that. But the whole S.H.I.E.L.D., everything just turning upside down because of this movie is really crazy. And that's number one for me because I find it the most rewatchable movie in the whole entire MCU. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And go check out the Dark Knights channel and hit that notification bell. I'll see you guys in the next video.